Welcome, Chi-Town, to another edition of All Ball Chicago. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend Marcus Liberty on the line, your host. What's up, Marcus?
What's going on, my main man, Bobby Robert
What's going
Reed,
on, big fella?
or should I say Robert Bobby Reed?
It's all of them, you know.
Okay, all right.
I'm the Black Robert Reed from Brady Bunch. Remember that white guy?
That's what I thought, man. So that's why I said, let me switch it up a little bit. But no, man, it's a beautiful Monday, man. I know we got to get ready to drop the show, man. A new episode for this week. So I'm enjoying it, man. I had a busy weekend and enjoying
It was
life.
busy this weekend, right?
Man.
It was hoop everywhere. Oh yeah, shout out to Bleav Network once again for bringing us on. Shout out to Bleav Network.
All ball Chicago.
It was crazy this weekend with the hoop, dude. It was nice as heck here in Chicago, and I didn't go outside, man. I sat in the house and watched basketball all weekend, man.
What you mean it was nice? What's the temperature?
Probably about 60, dude.
Oh, that's nice, man. That's nice.
I almost went outside.
It started hooping, huh? You wanted to start hooping, huh?
Take it back to the streets, baby.
Wow.
So what you want to talk about today, man? Go ahead.
I watched a lot of college basketball too. I mean, I watched my nephew play. My nephew plays with Valpo.
Talk about that young killer yesterday, man. I watched that game, man.
You know, one thing I say, man, I tell people all the time, man, and I'm just, gonna talk a little bit about my nephew, man. He's from Chicago, born and raised, man, and went to high school at Whitney Young, won a state championship, man. Wasn't really being heavily recruited by all of the, high major schools, and he got upset about that, man, because he felt that he did his just due in high school, and a lot of people just overlooked him. Yeah, and it's a lot of kids like that in Chicago that people overlook. So he was one of those players that they overlooked, and he got an opportunity to go play college at a mid-major school, Valparaiso, which he enjoyed. He started, his first year, which is last year, he started, all games, and this year he did the same thing, but his numbers increased. Because he put the work in, man. The kid has a chip on his shoulders. He feels that he has something to prove every time he steps on the court. So he has that mentality that if I can't do it for myself, then who will?
What's his name, man? Say his name.
His name is Javon Freemen Liberty.
Okay.
It's my sister's, son. She's been taking him to all those events when he was little, man. And big shout out to my sister, man, Dee Liberty, for doing her thing with that boy. And she always wanted me to be involved too, because she know I played basketball. So she kind of let me, help her, with the basketball side of things.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, to help grow and help him understand how recruiting works, how, agencies work when agents start contacting her about, Javon and all this stuff. So I kind of, oversee a lot of that stuff for him, man, because he needs to just focus on school and basketball, man, not worry about all the other stuff. So, no, the kid played great last night, man, yesterday, and the day before that, he had mono, playing actually sick, man, and didn't have his legs. So,
but the game before that, he came back and dropped 29, right?
29 points the game before that against Missouri State.
Give him the whole stat line, though. What was that whole stat line? That boy stuffed the stats.
Oh, man, he's been doing that for a very long time. But, yeah, that's what I think a lot of people like about him, that he does a lot of things, not just one particular thing. Well, we know he's a scorer. He's a scorer. I always taught him to be a scorer. I know a lot of people talk about his jump shot. He can't shoot as well. But which one would you have, a scorer or somebody just can shoot? When you shoot, when your shot's not falling, then you stuck.
You're done.
You're done, right? So I always taught him and told him that you have to be a scorer. Scorers can score from multiple positions in multiple places and do a lot of other things. So his stat line, man, for that one game that you're talking about, which was the day before yesterday, was he had 29 points, 9 rebounds, six assists, and four steals.
That's crazy, man.
And then
That's crazy.
the game yesterday, he had 24 points and 10 rebounds from the guard spot. So like, he does anything, to help his team win, man. And that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to will them into a victory last night, man. He knew. I told him, I said, you guys got to win the rebound battle. So he went in there with the mindset, I have to rebound. I have to help my bigs rebound. So look what he did. He went out and got 10 rebounds.
I saw he got his back jammed up for a minute there. It seemed like he got a hip pointer there.
Yeah, but that kid ain't gonna sit down, man.
I saw him limp up. He was limping, grabbing his back.
And
He stayed out there.
You saw him right there. So some people look at his body, but he's durable, man. Like if he didn't have mono and the doctors actually made him sit out. The doctors made him sit out, man. He wasn't gonna sit out. The doctors made him sit out and said, you know what, you can't play like this. So he took a week and a half off. Because of that, and he had it for a while, so he was playing with it for a minute, mono. So he's just one of those kids, man. That's from Chicago, man. That doesn't want anything to stop him from hooping,
But you said something early on that because he wasn't being heavily recruited, he had that chip on his shoulder. Can you speak to that to other kids that may be listening? How important it is to continue to work hard?
Oh, no question, man. He's definitely a throwback kid too. Like he's one of those kids that, I'm gonna take what I want. And so in order for you to take what you want, you got to be on point with your game. So your skills has to be tighter. Your work ethic has to be really strong. I mean, you gotta be disciplined enough to go out and put the work in. And my nephew did that. I mean, he did all of that, and now he's putting himself in position, to do other great things. And I think, with the help of people that's going to guide you in your corner. I think everybody needs that. Javon is blessed to have someone, that been there, done that in his life and who understands a lot of things. I think a lot of kids you do need that in your life to help you and guide you and give you some guidance that you need to be successful. And the rest is on you. You put the work in and do what you're supposed to do. Great things to come. Now, you may not be at that high major school, but you can make a difference where you at. And my nephew has shown that. He have shown that he's not at the powerhouse schools. Now, can he play with all those guys? Yes.
Right.
Now,
right.
Are some schools kicking themselves in the butt? Yes.
Why do you think that is, man? Why do you think that they continuously overlooking these kids? Is it politics? Because my son pretty much going through the same thing right now.
I think it has a lot. I think it has a lot to do with hype, the media hype. So the social media hype that you see, put out, it makes colleges jump on board, go to the social media pages or these recruiting services pages to see who's hot. I mean, and if you constantly tweeting and constantly putting videos out that this guy is it, and that's one thing we didn't do with my nephew, was to like highlight him and put him out there on all these videos and shooting videos. But that is where it is at now, So if you're a college coach and you go into those social media pages of these athletes and looking at them for high flying dunks, but you never really go to the games to actually see them, it's hurting. It's actually hurting the players. We see it all the time, and I don't like to drop anybody's names, but just in general, these blue chip, superstars that you see out, and they end up pretty much leaving the school because their skills are not as tight as they thought they were. Like
they couldn't sustain that hype. In other words,
so their development was not on point. So it's hard for a kid to stick. Like my nephew last year put his name in the transfer portal.
Right.
It wasn't because I think it wasn't because he didn't like Valpo. He was like, I know it's something better out there for me, so I might as well test it and see, what's out there, for me. You know, so I didn't knock him for that, and I didn't push him toward that. That was something that he wanted to do, and then he also made the decision to go back because of, you know, he wanted to stay close to home, and there was some colleges that was contacting him that was, you know, way on the other side, you know, of the map. So he didn't want to do that. So then that's one reason why he came back to Valpo. Was a great decision to come back and look at the year he had.
Well, I need your advice on my son. What do you say? What advice would you give to me? Collin, he's 6'4.5", like Javon. He's a lefty. I mean, he's shooting 46% from the field and at Juco, 42% from three. He averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. And you know, they lost both coaches 5 games into the season, so he didn't have anybody to go to bat for him down in Mount San Antonio. What advice can you give to me, your co-host, on how I can market Collin to get him out there? Because we got the video, and the dude he's a flat out stud. You know, he can score both hands. You know, he shoot the 3 ball. Great defender. He was defensive player of the year coming out of high school. You know, he got the trophy and all that. He was nominated McDonald All-American. So how do a kid like that slip through the cracks? You know, even though he committed twice coming out of high school, and both coaches got fired. What advice can you give me on him?
Well, I would tell you, man, to one, just keep being on him. Like, don't let him get too down on himself. You got to keep him motivated to say that it's gonna come. You know, you're gonna connect with the right person. You know, like to help you get him, you know, some looks. You know, if nothing else, some looks, so he can start, you know, working out in front of these college coaches again. I think if we can put your son in a position to get seen, I think your son will take care of the rest. And I think it's hard sometimes because you already have some of these college coaches that already have these blinders on that I'm only looking for this particular type of player. When you have players like your son and my nephew who has that energy on both ends of the court and who can score the basketball, you know, if you're not putting them out there like most of these, like I told you earlier, how people putting people out there on these videos and just constantly putting them out there. And I know you was doing some of that, but you wasn't probably doing it like they doing it.
Right.
So now he's in junior college. He's a qualifier. So now we need to let these college coaches know that, hey, you have a scoring point guard, a combo guard who can go, you know, play the point for you if you want him to, or he can play that shooting position for you as most people need. You know, they need that scoring type guard to be successful, I think, now in college. So I think we guys got to get some paper, a good resume, market him, man, the way he needs to be marketed, and start sending him out to some people that we know, like not just the people we don't know, but some of the people we do know, and start with that first and see what happens. If nothing comes out of that, then man, yeah, we just show up somebody's college campus and say, you know what, here's Collin.
You know what I told him though? I told Collin, I said, I'm not against a walk-on, you know, at a good school, because the education is very important.
But did you see the game last night?
Which one?
I mean, the Valpo game against Bradley.
Yeah, I watched that game.
The starting 2 guard for them, the shooter, one of those guys.
I heard them say he was a walk-on.
Walk-on, right. He walked on. So I don't know if it was Bradley or it was the game before that, but Missouri State game. But I knew I heard that.
Yeah.
And Valpo had one. Valpo had one on their team.
Yeah.
He walked on his freshman year, and the next year for his sophomore year, they gave him a scholarship. So he only paid 1 year for college, and then he got the scholarship after that because the coach said, I see something. See, most walk-ons played high school basketball, so that's what people get confused when they're like, well, I'm a walk-on. No, you a walk-on because that's the school you wanted to go to, for one, and you said, you know what, I'm going to prove to this coach that I can earn a scholarship.
Right. Well, I walked on at Jackson State, so I totally understand the logistics. It's just the politics that sometimes go with that, where they be allocated to play the scholarship guys. Right. But I appreciate that advice. So, but you want to talk about that, the rise and the decline in Chicago basketball as far as the recruitment and kids going to the next level, and the absenteeism of the McDonald All-American game up until till now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to just, speak up on that, man, and for one, I think, a lot of things have changed in Chicago. The system of high school CPS, the system has changed. So now you have all these classes. You got 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A. All these classes that most big states do have. I mean, I'm in Florida and they've been had it, like Texas, they've been had it, but Chicago it changed, and it's like a culture shock, because now the way it's set up is like you don't have to really compete as hard, to get downstate anymore. So everybody is welcome. It's like, oh, you're welcome to come downstate. So
is it money grab? You think? Think it's about money?
Think about it, man. Chicago basketball is huge. Chicago fans or family will support. They will drive, to a Peoria to go watch their kids play.
Right.
Now, on the flip side of that, I think when it was at the University of Illinois, you had more fans because it wasn't that far of a drive to get from Chicago to Champaign. So I think they should bring it back to Champaign.
Champaign closer than Peoria?
I think so, man.
Peoria's I think it's probably about 2 hours away. I think Champagne's a little further, man.
So it might be the same distance.
But Champagne offers that college town feel, though.
Yeah, I don't know, Bob. I thought I rode down to Peoria one time, and it seemed like it took me forever to get there.
Well, it's not the most attractive town in the world, but I ain't gonna. Peoria's off.
But anyway, I think it's more things to do, probably, and it's a bigger campus. I mean, and it's a beautiful campus, and you get the chance to see the arenas,
beautiful,
and see and get a chance to play on that big time,
Can we segue to your beloved school, what they did last night?
We might as well. I mean, we can talk about that too. But let's finish a little bit of this though before we go about the Chicago public schools and why the rise and fall of some of these athletes that not there no more, and they leave and go to different states because of I think jobs. I mean, the jobs were is not as good. So a lot of parents, got jobs in different states and ended up leaving. Then you have violence. The violence. People were saying, you know what? I don't want my son or my daughter growing up in this violent city. So they end up leaving, going somewhere else. And then you have, if my son is playing on the elite AAU team and it's and you're playing in Texas, say, and you playing against a Texas coach who's getting down, and then all of a sudden that coach comes up to you in the lobby and says, man, I like you. Do you have family that live in Texas? Right. So it's a recruiting tool too, to help some of these coaches, because most AAU coaches are high school coaches.
Right.
So I think that plays a part in a lot of kids leaving the state too. Or
and the
city.
Politics in Chicago too, man. It's really
politics always. I mean, politics is anytime you got something dealing with money, man, you're gonna always have politics, and so people always want to get something out of someone or off something,
And then, which leads me to this, Liv. This is what I heard. Now I don't know how true it is, but they say the high major schools don't like coming to Chicago recruiting because there's too many people that they got to go through to get to the kids.
I can see that, Bob. I mean, I really do. I can see that now. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't like that. You didn't have to go through so many people, but now, yeah, it's the best friend. It's the it's the uncle. It's the coach. It's the mom. It's the how can I get to
too
this
many
person?
Layers, right?
Yes.
It's just too many layers, man.
And everybody wants to try to make some money, man. I mean, just let's be honest with it. A lot of time when we were playing, it wasn't like that. Like we weren't trying to get the parents wasn't trying to get money off. It was just, man, you want my baby? Yeah, well, you need to contact me because I need to know who's gonna be coaching my baby. That's how they were back then.
That's all it was. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But now it's like, well, how much money can I get?
Right.
You better be offering me some dollars.
Big fella, you say money. What do you mean?
should I say more? We saw what happened with the Adidas thing, man, and
heads rolled,
and
man.
all that.
I don't think Chuck Person should have took the rap for that by itself, though. That's just my opinion.
But that wasn't. That was on some other stuff, man. That was about an agency.
Money wires and all that.
Yeah,
stuff,
that was about an agency that wanted to get certain kids out of that program, and they knew that, you know, he was assistant coach, I think, and they wanted to grease his palm to say, you know what, make sure you deliver this to this mom, so I can make sure we get the kid when it's time for him to come out. You know,
Right.
but I think, I think it's a lot of people was doing that. I don't think it was just Chuck Person that was doing that. I think, you know, he just got caught up. I mean, he was making good money, you
Right.
know. It's just sometimes, man, we can think the grass is always greener and say, you know, I never get caught or anything like that. And sometimes, man, you know, I always say this, Bob, and I'm a firm believer of this, man. Think before you do, man. Like,
Right.
think of the consequences.
And rethink it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't think it, rethink it again.
Yeah. Think about it, man. What comes along with this, man? If I do this, if I get caught, you know,
Right.
you know, you gotta be a little bit more smarter than that to see. But now let's go back to what you was talking about.
Your beloved team, boy, they squoze one out last night against Iowa, boy, Illinois. Io, hey, he is really, really playing with a lot of fight. And that other boy, what's his name? Kipper Nichols, what's his name?
Kipper Nichols, yeah, he played defense. Good defense.
I think they started him last night.
Yeah, I didn't see the beginning of it, man.
Yeah, he actually was the difference in that game. Because he came in getting put back, rebound. All the announcers was like, this is the best game Kipper Nichols has played since he's been here. He's playing his tail off.
You know what? That was his last home game, man. He's a senior.
Oh.
So he laid it all out, man, on the table. Like, this is my last year playing in front of my home team, you know, and I know he probably has some emotions behind it that, man, this is it, you know, like we have to win and I got to give it my all, you know.
Right.
So he did his thing then, man. I'm happy for him, man. I'm happy for him. And
they closed that game out, but they was whooping Iowa's butt, and Iowa cut that lead, man. And they only ended up winning by 2. And I just knew the referees was going to try to put Iowa back in that game, man. I
saw a little fight broke out and everything, man.
Oh, it was edgy. They said no more shaking hands in the line after the game. I don't know why they make them do that anyway. I don't want to shake your hand, man, after we finish playing, dog. I'm sorry, man. Especially if you beat me.
That's because what happened with the game when the Illinois played at Iowa. I don't know what really still happened to this day on that one, but I've seen some
chirping.
I see. No, this was like the coaches, though. You know,
right?
Like the coach said something. One of the assistant coaches said something. I'm like, man. And then the coach from Iowa was like, man, forget y'all. We leaving. Get off the floor.
Right.
Let's go.
I saw that.
So I don't know what happened with that, but I think it makes the game a little bit more intense. You know, so when you face them again,
I'm glad that's beauty, man. That's the beauty of the game, man.
You put that on. You put that.
Basketball is competitive, dude.
You know, so I'm okay with, you know, Illinois, you know, or Iowa saying, you know what, we don't got to shake your hand. But they did. They did shake each other's hands, you know. But
they got to be careful, man, because I was watching Jackson State, and it was on the news. You see that fight, that melee broke out? It was about a week ago. Jackson State was playing, I think, Texas Southern or something.
I didn't see it.
And somebody said something in that line, and it went up, dude. I mean, it was – I said, how they going to stop these strong young boys out here like that, man, once they get going? It was over with. I said, man, these are –
But you know what, man? I firmly believe you know, I believe that referees are the one that can dictate really what goes on. So if you call it tight, you know, no pushing, no shoving, you control the situation. You let that stuff get by, and you have some kids that's on that level.
Yeah, because you can see it brewing the whole game. You out there with them.
Yeah, that. But at the same time, man, you have to keep your composure, man, and not, you know, put yourself in situations, because that can hurt you for that next level. Like if you want to play in the NBA, they're gonna say, well, I don't want that. that type of, things to go on in the NBA. So it can hurt you. So I always think, man, I'm going back to that think before you do, that mentality, you have to have it.
What's that shirt you got on? I can't see it.
That's Valpo, man. Valpo, man.
Oh, Valpo. Valparaiso, Bryce Drew, Homer Drew.
Yeah, man. Those boys put that school on the map, for sure.
Man.
Along with his dad and all that, man. But I think basketball in Chicago, man, still is great. I just think we need to channel our energy back to actually being mentors. I think that's what's missing, because if you're just throwing the ball out every time and saying this hoop, I think it's not gonna help. It's not gonna help the kid. But if you actually mentoring them and telling them the do's and the don'ts and what's right and what's wrong, and here's what you need to do to be successful, not just as a basketball player, but as a student athlete, I think you'll start seeing a lot of difference. And I'm not just talking about in Chicago, but I'm talking about, in general, how coaches, especially these high school coaches, you play a big part of our young kids' lives, man. And if you're not right and you're a head coach and you're doing some things that not right, you're not helping the kids, man. So you gotta start helping our young kids become men one day. You have to show them now.
Without saying any names, mentioning any schools, you mentioned that you heard the undertone of it's a lot of bullying that goes on in these programs, right?
Man, it's a lot going on. I mean, you hear it all the time that my son doesn't even want to play no more because of certain situations. Somebody might be talking about a kid or always bullying him and always taking his money, or always, and the kid is afraid to go tell anybody, so they let it continue to happen, and sometimes I think the coaches need to watch what's going on around them a lot more than what they doing right now.
I believe they know. I believe that they just don't really address it. I really do, man.
Shame on them, man, for real. Because if I'm giving you my kid, I'm trusting that you're gonna do right by them, and that's not just in high school, that's in college too. So parents, you need to start doing your homework on these schools. So I know you may be saying, well, I see this elite school and they always winning city championship, and they go downstate and they play for downstate, and then you send your kid over there not really looking or asking questions to other parents who had their childs there or children there to understand what really is going on at those schools.
What's the undertone?
Yes, you have to figure that out,
This is all ball Chicago. So we talk the hot stuff, man. What exactly happened with Mike Oliver, man?
You know what? I've been hearing, and
Mike Oliver is the coach of Curie High School, for people who don't know. He's been there 27 years. He won the state championship last year, right? No, city championship. They lost downstate.
Okay.
To big fella that's playing at Ohio State right now. I forget his name. But he was just relieved of he was just relieved of his duties after 27 years. He had an altercation with a kid. And I want you to speak to that, Liv, because you're an insider. You know a lot of this stuff.
Well, I just think, man, that Mike Oliver, I know Mike Oliver personally. I've been knowing him for a very long time, and I know he's sincere about what he do and how he teaches kids on the basketball. And let's say this right now. This kid wasn't a basketball player.
Okay.
So this kid that I think that got in some trouble, before with Mike Oliver, I think he went to the office for whatever the reason was. I don't know in details of really what happened, but okay. Mike Oliver's job as a security guy is to make sure everybody is doing the proper things that they should be doing, Right. So I don't know, like, in details of really what happened, but they said somebody –
but he had an altercation with a kid.
Altercation, and somebody put some hands on,
it was rumored that he was supposed to choke the kid out.
Right,
because it was all over social media. I saw people talking about it, and I was just like, right. He never struck me as that kind of guy, And I was a school teacher for 10 years, and I know a kid will make you choke the hell out of him. They'll make you want to, man, because they're very disrespectful. Not all of them.
But we know the rules, man. You can't do that, So for whatever reason, everybody knows that Mike Oliver is a good person, and sometimes situations happen, man, that you can't control. I mean, the kid like I said, the kid could have been, egging him on and kept doing the same thing, and he kept telling him, no, you can't do this. I'm not going to put things out because I really don't know, in
Right.
details of really what
Right.
happened.
Of course, you wasn't there. And
I wasn't there,
right.
but I just know from me just knowing Mike Oliver, I'm talking about since I was a sophomore in high school, uh, playing against Curie, and then I also know his assistant coach. Well, assistant coach grew up in my same neighborhood who went to Curie,
Right.
Larry Wallace, who's taking over as the coach right now, who is also a police officer,
Oh, wow.
and I know, and he vouched for Mike Oliver too. Is like, man, this guy is a good dude, man, and sometimes things happen, and it's just out of
You
your
know,
control once it happens.
and in his defense, and I wasn't there, but in his defense, when we came up, and you know how it was when we came up,
Right,
one of these teachers, one of those male teachers, could snatch you up quick, bro.
right.
Get that paddle with the holes in it and warm you up, man.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was
think
it was high school coaches doing that too.
that's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
yeah,
High school coaches, I mean, you getting that paddle.
you getting it.
And and the principal, if you was a student at that school misbehaving, because we had a principal at Simeon, Mr. Everett, and people was so scared of Mr. Everett because Mr. Everett, he had you roll them dice in that office, buddy. Box carts, you roll them 12s. You used to wear them out. I'll never
Well,
forget we was gambling in the bathroom real quick, 2-minute story.
oh,
Everybody was in that gambling. I was in that too. And man, they called us, dude. It was probably about 8 of us. He said, all y'all get in my office. I'm finna warm all y'all up, right? So I come in there. He look at me like, what you doing in here? Like, dude, you've been in this school for 3-4 years. I've never seen you. I'm going to let you pass. But the rest of them, they getting it. Man, he let me go. They was mad at me, Liv. Like, man, what you telling me?
knowing knowing you was always with those dudes, man. Probably always doing it,
I get in
but
the
he
crap
knew.
game and get in and out. I wasn't
But
staying.
yeah, you get your lick, you get your quick lick, like
Get my quick lick and I'm gone. And plus, I never got in trouble in high school, so it was
right.
like my record was clean. So he had no reason to. But the rest of those guys, that was funny, man. And I
Wow.
think that we need to bring that back. And they call it corporal punishment.
Right.
They took it out of the school system because whites and blacks didn't want certain races disciplining their kids and stuff.
Right.
And they took that out, and then they took Christianity out. But shout out to Mike Oliver, man. I'm sure he'll surface somewhere else in the future.
Yeah, man. Great. Like I said, man, great dude, man. And I know he was probably just doing something to solve the situation, man, of whatever that kid was doing. Because he's not going to just react. Mike Oliver's just not going to react on something if it wasn't something that was bad.
Right.
I mean, not
27
bad.
years, man. He been
So it
doing
was
that
probably
for 27 years. That's a
it was
long
probably
time.
something bad, man, and it's probably gonna all come out, I guess, eventually. And that's one thing you don't want, man, is to have a lot of negativity behind this. So probably the best thing to do, man, is to walk away and just move on with your life, man, and put that chapter about. But he had some kids, man. He was coaching and mentoring, man. I know those kids are hurt, because that was their leader, they coach. So
Well, he took Talon, man. I mean, he took Talon from the fire. I mean, Talon was ready to cut his wrist. From what I understand, he was depressed with the fire, and he went over there with him. I'm just speaking real facts. This is what I know for a fact.
no, you talking about Taylor. You talking about Taylor
That's in the
Horton.
league. Yeah. He was having problems with Nick them.
So you talking about this is the
The
AAU, sir,
AAU.
not the high school. He
Talking about
didn't
the
leave
A.
Simeon. He didn't
No,
leave
no, no,
Simeon.
no.
Curie.
No, he left the AAU circuit and went
Right.
over there and played for Mike Oliver. And
So why do you think he left?
I know why he left.
This is all ball Chicago.
It's all ball Chicago. I keep it 100. Well,
right.
I know why he left, because Nick was riding his back. Every time he went to the basket or did something, he was like, "Oh, that's that Simeon stuff. That's that Simeon stuff." And he was very unhappy, man, over there. And it was a hard mix for Morgan Park coach to coach a Simeon kid when they both on Vincennes.
Oh, wow. And they play
So,
against each
and
other.
they play against each other. So that's where the conflict was. And these are facts. So I'm not
Wow.
talking about somebody behind their back. I know for a fact that's what happened. So,
Wow.
and I love
Oh.
Nick Number. Nick, hey, I respect Nick, but I do know that there was a conflict of interest there. And that's when Taylor left.
Oh, okay. Well, man, I think that's another issue then you have in Chicago when you have kids that's playing for a certain AAU program, but you go to the high school that you're going to be competing against them in, and sometimes that coach may see something in you that they thought was cool, and they were like, "Yeah, I like them," and then when you get them, you're like, "No, no, no, no. I have my superstar already. I need you to play your role."
Right.
You know,
And
so
then that's their way of hiding you.
yeah, so. Yeah, again, I tell people all the time, that you think that if I go play with this elite, travel ball team, I need to get looks. So that's what the one, we know Mac Fire will get you some looks, right?
You're gonna get all the looks.
Right. So because
They're in that
you're gonna play,
EYBL.
yeah, you're gonna play on the circuit,
Right.
EYBL, Nike EYBL, and Mean Street, the same thing. You're gonna play in front of a lot of coaches. So, and then you go to the suburb, you got your boy Mullen on the Under Armour circuit.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so you have those three. I'm just saying major that was shoe contracts. I think Adidas was Mike Oliver, Derrick Rose, Team Rose. So they go play in the gauntlet and all that. But you have four. Let's say you have four, of the top, programs that travels nationally. So you trying to get seen, you like, man, I got to get on one of these teams because I want to get seen. So the McFire and Taylor, I guess, talked and they said, man, we need you over here, dude, because we trying to win. See, they want to also win because if you win, you get invited back.
Well, I think they had that conflict because they had both of them boys, though, man. Ayo and Taylor.
Yeah, but
they play the same position, and they both killers.
That's a hell of a. I went to see them play when both of them was playing, and they both was getting down to me. In the game that I saw, whether that's the player going to a coach and saying, "Look here, I'm not getting the touches no more." If he's rolling, roll with him. I mean, if that was me, and I'm on a team with LeBron James, I'm just gonna say, if I'm on a team with me and LeBron James on the same team, I'm rolling. Man, LeBron, you're going to have to just chill, dude.
Right.
I'm rolling right now. Now,
right.
Vice versa. If he's rolling, man, I'm chilling. I'm not going to say, man, coach, I ain't getting the ball, so you got to take him out.
Right.
I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm saying if that's
I don't think
me,
that's what happened. I think they could have coexisted. I just think that, like I said, from what I understand, that Nick was busting his balls.
Oh.
And rightfully so. I mean, you can see it would be a little favoritism there because Ayo's a Morgan Park kid. Taylor was a Simeon kid. But nevertheless, both of them will be pros.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So
yeah.
Shout out to them both. Shout out to them both, man.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like that, man. Like what you should when you form these programs, and a big shout out to Mac Senior, man, for doing and helping the communities, man, out here in Chicago, building, the Mac Fire into, one of the best, AAU programs in the nation, that these guys built, from ground up, and we all know the story about Mac, Irvin, and how he just loved, activities. He just wanted to keep kids busy, man. So
he's the godfather.
Yeah, but his kids, he started baseball. A lot of people don't even know he started with the baseball and just giving kids things to do. Like Lanny Irvin was a baseball player. Mac Irvin Jr. was a baseball player. Those guys played baseball. I used to hear stories. They used to tell me stories all the time about that, man, how they used to strike out people and hitting home runs and all that, man. So I'm like,
he had 5 sons, right?
Yeah, Mac Jr., Lanny, Nick, and Byron, 4, and the daughter Cindy.
Okay.
So yeah, but hell of a family, man. And I have nothing but respect for the Irvins, man. And
Man, could you
sometimes people
imagine
don't like.
how much they have
Sometimes
to go
people.
through? How much they have to
Sometimes.
go through with that basketball stuff, though?
Sometimes people don't like them because of what they do. Like they do highlight their players, like they star players. That's one thing I'm gonna say. I'll put out there. If you the man, you are the man,
You're gonna be the
and they're gonna
man,
let you.
boy.
They're gonna let it be known. They're gonna let it be known. So
Hey, man, they had that boy Marcus Levette, man. Woo, man, that boy was
Lefty,
tough,
right?
man. Yeah,
I
man.
remember. I remember that kid.
Oh my Lord, that boy was tough, man. Tough as nails. But he ended up going to St. John, and I don't know where he went from there. I think
I
they
think
say he
he might be over. I
overseas.
think he may overseas. Be overseas. Uh,
Right.
but Chicago basketball, man, is a people hear rumors and people want to send their kids, like if you living on the West Coast, let's say you're living on the West Coast and you're like, man, the only thing my kid is missing is that toughness. He got everything else. So if I send him to his cousin who live in Chicago, and this may be because this happens a lot. People don't understand it, but it happens a lot. Because you wonder sometimes, like, how did this kid get here? He's not from Chicago, but
Mm-hmm.
relatives live. A lot of people relatives do live in Chicago.
Right,
you
right.
know, so they find a way to get the kid there, man, and the kid ends up playing and dominating, and then all of a sudden, like the kid Levette, I don't think he was from Chicago.
Right here from California.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that happens a lot, man. And there's a lot of kids that was from Chicago ended up moving. Like I know this kid that plays for the UCLA right now. I think I mentioned that to you before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Chris Smith, the big fella, about 6'9", real smooth, man. Junior. He definitely gonna get the looks at that next level because he can do a lot of things with that ball. But he's from Chicago, so what high school would he have gone to? I don't know, But
Yeah, at 6'9", he can pick his poison.
man,
He can
come
pick
on, man.
whatever he want to go. And then you got the guard from Kansas, man.
Oh yeah, Dotson.
Moved to North Carolina, moved down to North
Yep,
Carolina, right?
yep, Dotson. Yep, uh-huh.
So
And it's more than that. We can probably look it up and find out that more kids that came from Chicago that's doing their thing. Um, in on the college level that you didn't even know. Like, man, I didn't even know that kid was from Chicago, but you see him doing his thing. So I just think, man, we need to get Chicago uh, back, to where it belongs, and then go from there, man. I
I
know it's
agree.
hard though, Bob, because it's so much going on now, man, that it's
Yeah.
hard for our kids. Like when we grew up, it was totally different, and I get it. I do get it. We didn't have all the social media. We didn't have all the video games. We didn't have all the things that you can get into right now, man. And
The number one thing, like you said, that social media, man. That social media is driven. Everybody's driven through that. And I
yeah,
think that kids, they gauge their success by how many likes and how much participation they get off of that. Whereas really that don't matter, because let's just say you catapult and you make it to the league. Now watch how many likes you get. You
right.
know, them
You
same
gonna
people
get
that wasn't liking you love you. Oh,
right,
I know him. Like, you
right.
think about Kendrick Nunn's path. Kendrick had a pretty good career at Illinois, but when he left there, I don't know if he would have had the opportunity to make it to where he is had he not went to Oakland, because I don't think Illinois let him shoot like that, did they?
No, no. It was more system. It was more in a system, and that coach at Oakland basically gave him the ball and said, "Look here, you
Go
do
get
your thing.
buckets.
Yeah,
Yep.
do
And
your
he was the
thing."
second leading scorer in the nation that year. He went there.
Yeah, one time he was the leading scorer in the nation. I think it dropped off a little bit, but yeah,
Right.
man. Sometimes,
That Greg Campy, he loved them lefties, man.
yeah. Sometimes it helps, and not to say that what he did or whatever he got out of the university for, but yeah, I think that was a good move. I mean, that happened for him, and it helped him mature too.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped him become a better person and help him become a better basketball player because the coach put the ball in his hand and had him to be as the point guard. So he was
Ain't
a
nothing
shooting
like
point
that.
guard.
Ain't nothing like
And
it.
And you got to think, man, this kid, Kendrick Nunn, he was just as good as Jabari Parker. You know, like I tell people all the time when I used to watch them in high school, Jabari, because they both played at Simeon High School and they both was on the same team. And I used to always say he was the key to me. We already know Jabari was going to do his thing.
Right.
But I said the key to Simeon was Kendrick Nunn, man. Every time I watched him, I used to tell his dad, man, I like him, man. Like I said, he got a nice jump shot. His game is real smooth.
And he didn't get out. Yeah, I was finna say he didn't never get outside his body.
No.
Everything was controlled and composed. And then his personality and his attitude was always in the right place.
I saw that, man, as when he was little, like not little like a little kid, but as he was in high school. I saw that, man. I said, man, he gonna be special. I was telling people that before he even got to the NBA. I said he gonna be special because of the things he can do. And when he went to Illinois, I was like, yes, because he was going to go to Texas A&M.
Wow.
Texas A&M wanted him real bad. And I actually think he committed there, and then he decommitted.
Yep. I think he did. I went to, I was in high school with his dad, man. His dad was he was a good guy just like him, though. So
Melvin,
sometimes you take on the same demeanor as your pops.
Oh, yeah.
We looking like on time, big fella.
Man, I think it's time to roll, dude. Well,
man, this is a beautiful edition of All Ball Chicago. This is our potluck freestyle edition on Chicago basketball, man. On Bleav Network. Man, we looking for sponsors, man. Anybody want to sponsor on our show, let us know. We coming back every Tuesday and Thursday, man. And then on weekends, we got bonus editions. Anything y'all want to talk about, hit Marcus Liberty inbox, man. Flood his inbox. Bug the heck out of him, man.
For sure, man.
He got 1,000,001 things going on, but bug him anyway.
Man, let's do it. And we definitely talk about it too, man. If it's something that's juicy, man, we definitely will talk about it and get it out there, man. Because sometimes your voice might not be, loud enough, but since we started this podcast and it's for Chicago people, maybe we can get it out there, man, and share it, and maybe make a difference, all right? So make sure you hit us up, inboxes, man, whatever you need. We'll try to get it out there for you.
That's real, man. Well, it's another hot edition of All Ball Chicago. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend, the host, Marcus Liberty on the line. Marcus, what you finna be on, big dog?
Man, it's time for me to unlace the shoes, man.
Well, it's been one, man. Bleav we up out of here. Thanks for another opportunity. Peace.
Holla.